Sketchy went toe-to-toe with the factory competition at Laguna Seca. But 2026 brings a whole new look to the 2024 championship-winning AO Racing crew. And that's not just because of their new look livery, which debuted amongst a number of heritage liveries in IMSA's first ever throwback weekend. No, this new look is because 2026 sees AO waving goodbye to Lauren Heinrich, who moves to GTP, and Backler, who takes a seat in the number 911 Grello Porsche that won last time out at Sebring. Filling in for these two Porsche aces are Porsche Carrera Cup Germany and Super Cup runner-up Harry King and the legendary Nick Tandy, who is the only driver in history to claim overall victories at the 4 most prestigious 24-hour races.
Man, what a roller coaster. What's the emotions involved with these 24-hour races is just incredible. 2 wins in a row here for Porsche Penske Motorsport. And he completes the big 4 for me overall, so yeah, I've been looking for this one overall for a long time.
In addition to conquering Daytona, he has also stood atop the podium at Le Mans in an LMP1 and the Nürburgring and Spa in a 911. And with race day upon us on the California coast, it is all eyes on the starting driver Harry King as he and Nick target another championship for AO Racing. With the 3rd round of the GTD Pro season set to begin, this new look number 77 sits 3rd in the standings, with the number 911 not competing in the sprint rounds. Harry lines up behind the championship-leading number 1 BMW of Neil Verhagen and just ahead of the number 3 Corvette of Antonio Garcia, who's back in 5th place. Hawksworth once again leads the field to green. As he slams the throttle, the race gets underway and the 65 Mustang of Mies goes powering past the 77 Porsche, and the Temerario, which started in 6th, is looking for a way past Sketchy. Harry King covers off the inside line as the Corvette behind tries to find its way past, as the number 4 of Milner gets past his teammate and a little twitchy on the brakes into turn 2, the Andretti hairpin. The Corvettes go side by side as the Temerario dips a wheel on the exit, kicking up gravel into the radiator of this number 4 car. Through turn 3, we see the flash of orange McLaren around the outside as Milner slides back to 8th place, with Esterson making contact with the Lamborghini and Milner nearly losing it on the exit. Out front, the Lexus continues to lead, with Sketchy still back and forth behind that Mustang as Milner now looks around the outside, a risky place to pass as he uses all of the road and more on the exit. Look to the left, and there is the GTD leading Ferrari, which makes its way past this number 4 Corvette, which is falling back at the start of this race. That 34 car tries to find its way past Esterson as well as they head over this crest and into the corkscrew. They slam on the brakes, and Milner has a nose up the inside but makes contact. His 4 Corvette, I think, is stuck in neutral as he cannot grab a gear. Finally, he does, but he is down to 9th and last in this GTD Pro category as he continues behind the number 12 GTD Lexus. Out front, though, it's as you were, with a 65 Mustang chasing the number 1 and Sketchy getting 2 wheels in the gravel on the exit of the final corner. You can see the Mustang powering away on the straights as this Porsche is fast in the corners but struggles in a straight line. Garcia looks for a way past, but King covers off the inside. The Corvette driver breaks late into the Andretti hairpin, but King has the preferred line and is able to hold on ahead of this number 3 Corvette, which looks up the inside once again but is not close enough to make a move into turn 3. King able to hold off that 3 Corvette for now, and the faster GTPs begin to flash their way past. Into the fast uphill left-hand turn 5, King closes in dramatically on that Mustang out front, which is fast in a straight line, but struggles a bit more than this Porsche in the corners. Into turn 6, the Mustang driver tries to keep that GTP behind, but they make contact, and the Mustang's entry is compromised as the Porsche driver has a huge run that goes side by side up the hill. That Porsche climbing past the 65, which seems to be in trouble as he struggles on the brakes, and Garcia easily makes his way past the formerly 4th place car. Down through the corkscrew, and there is clearly damage to the rear of this Mustang, probably just a flat tire, but there might be suspension damage as well as he gingerly makes his way through Rainy Curve, trying to steer clear of the cars behind. We can see clearly damage to this left rear as he's just unable to carry any speed to the right-hander and immediately makes his way into pit lane for repairs. The good news, however, is the Mustang can probably make it to the end on just one more pit stop after this. But out on track, Sketchy continues to chase down this second place #1 BMW as he carries huge speed through that fast right-hander because the Corvette just behind makes its way into the pit lane with an hour and 37 minutes remaining, with the #1 and #77 continuing out on track. So clearly these GTD pros can make it just over an hour on fuel. As Garcia hits his marks, the crew jumps over the wall to bolt on a set of fresh, cold Michelin tires and fill up this 3 Corvette with fuel. Sims takes over from his teammate as he slides into his seat. The steering wheel is lowered into position and he begins buckling his belts. With his fuel tank filled to the brim, he starts his engine and fires out of his pit box to once again rejoin the race in his #3 Corvette. But we can hear how little grip he has on those cold tires as he spins his wheels leaving the pit lane. And with this 3 car struggling to put temperature into its Michelin tires, the #77 and 1 are prepared to also enter the pit lane. We can see Tandy waiting on the pit wall as King thrashes Sketchy out on track, with DeFilippi prepared to get in the #1 car as well. And King ducks into the pit lane with the #1 BMW staying out on track. King hits the pit lane as he begins to loosen his seatbelt in preparation for handing over to Nick Tandy. And with the 1 continuing out on track, the #77 makes its way slowly down the pit lane, inching ever closer to the famed hot dog pit board. And with Tandy on the wall, King disconnects the radio and jumps out of his '77 Porsche. The crew gets to work as Tandy, the 24-hour legend, slides behind the wheel and begins to buckle his seatbelts. King installs the net, gives Tandy some encouragement, and then slams the door as the team finishes fueling. With the tires complete, the car is dropped off the jacks and is now all eyes on the gas man. But it's a long wait for fuel, and the crew cleans out the grill as Tandy gets comfortable behind the wheel of his new steed. The car is refired and he is sent on his way with a massive burnout as he exits the pit lane, once again on cold tires in his '77 Porsche as he makes his way over the crest and through this really tight pit lane exit. Out on track is the '65 Mustang of Vervish, who makes his way through the Andretti hairpin and alongside the '77 Porsche as it's a race out of pit lane for these GTD Pro competitors. With Vervish on hot tires, he closes in rapidly on the '77 Porsche of Tandy, who slides wide on his cold tires as the '65 makes its way past the '77. And through the fast turn 4, we can see how much more heat and grip that Mustang has in its tires as he begins to pull away from Tandy. But with those two battling out on track, the #1 is in pit lane as Verhagen will hand over to DeFilippi. The Heritage liveried BMW pulls into its pit box, and excuse the shoddy camera work, I'm not quite a professional at this, as Verhagen jumps out, DeFilippi slides in, and the crew gets to work quickly changing these Michelin tires. Now, remember, the '77 and the 3 fully filled their cars with fuel, but as the door is slammed shut, the #1 is sent on its way, and we can see a 50 on the side of the car. That means only 50% fuel in this one BMW. So as Sketchy powers down the front straight, that BMW is long gone, albeit with much less fuel than the '77 and the #3. So as Sketchy comes over the crest, there is no sight of that BMW as he slams on the brakes, just missing that first apex, then clipping the second one. And if we look to the left-hand side, we can see a Corvette stopped in the gravel on the exit of turn 2, and yellow lights are flashing, which indicates a safety car has been scrambled. The timing of this yellow could not be more perfect for the '77 Porsche and 3 Corvette, who are both nearly full of fuel. So as they make their way down the pit lane for the safety car pit stop, although this '77 is not in first place, it will be an incredibly short stop as the #4 Corvette and #1 BMW lead the field into their boxes. Tandy approaches the hot dog as the crew jumps over the wall. As I said, it'll be a very short fill for this number 77 and for the 3. After just a few seconds, the fueling is complete as the Porsche peels out of its box in the lead of the race, with the number 14 Lexus just behind, and we missed it, but that 3 Corvette back in 3rd place. That short stop shortchanged the number 1 crew, who was leading the race before that pit stop sequence. And as he makes his way to the green flag, Tandy will restart from a position he is quite familiar with, up in 1st place with that 14 Lexus just behind, and Sims in this 3 Corvette trying to stay close to the 2 out front. They make their way through the final corner, and Sketchy is tucked up just behind this GTP field as Tandy uses all of the road on the exit and makes his way to the green flag. Just behind, we can see how much of a gap he has already built to the Lexus and Corvette, but further back in the pack, Katzberg in the 4 Corvette is trying to charge his way forward after the issues we saw earlier in the race. The Temerario and BMW go side by side through the Andretti hairpin as Katzberg looks around the outside of that 64 Mustang, which just squeezes him on the exit, but the Corvette has the inside line and brakes late up the inside through turn 3 as Katzberg moves up to P6. The Temerario and BMW continue battling out front though, as Caldarelli looks for a way past De Filippi, but has a narrow entry through turn 4, and Katzberg has a huge run. Katzberg brakes as late as humanly possible as they go side by side through the left-hander. Katzberg is squeezed off the road, but given just enough room by the Lamborghini driver as they make contact into turn 6, and contact once again through the entry. Katzberg as close as humanly possible to that blue Lamborghini as they come up the hill and into the famed corkscrew. Katzberg brakes late and makes contact once again with the Lamborghini as they go side by side. Once again, the Lamborghini driver squeezing the Corvette off the road through Rainey, and the Corvette makes contact with the rear of the Lamborghini as the 65 and the number 59 make their way past this number 9 Pfaff Lamborghini, which was in the thick of it with that number 4 Corvette. And on the exit, we can see the 64 Mustang closing in on Katzberg, who slides wide through the apex. The American badged GT3s going wheel to wheel up the hill through turn 1. And over the crest, the Mustang has the legs and the inside line, but Katzberg is not giving up and brakes late around the outside of that 64 car, who just is able to squeeze ahead, but Katzberg has the run on the exit. The Mustang is on the inside, the Corvette once again on the outside, as the 64 car is able to hold on through turn 3 and retain 5th place ahead of this number 4 Corvette. Now, with all of that battling going on behind, we can hear Tandy saving a huge amount of fuel into turn 5. That's because we still have an hour and 10 minutes of racing left. And as we know, these cars can do maybe just about that much time on fuel. So to make it to the end of the race without needing another pit stop, he will either need to save a whole heap of gas or be saved by another caution. But with just under an hour and 5 minutes remaining, the 65 crew makes a bold decision, and Vervish makes his way into the pit lane. So they are gambling on the race staying green, and if that does happen, they will be able to run flat out to the finish. So as Vervish hits his marks, we see no tires going aboard this 65, just fuel. And we can see it was a quick fill, and he is already sent on his way back out on track. So with everyone trying to save fuel, he will be going flat out trying to catch them. And a few laps later, the 4 crew follows along with the exact same strategy for Katzberg. He once again hits his marks as well as the crew fills up his car. It is full focus ahead for Katzberg, who is racing at the Nürburgring next weekend, so please check out that race and hopefully my video as well afterwards. And as he exits the pit box, the number 65 car is out on track and hustling. Now, we don't have a great camera angle of this, but if you look through the window on the pit lane exit, there is that number 4 Corvette as the 65 flashes by and takes the effective lead on this fueling strategy. So if the race does go green to the end, it's advantage 65 over number 4, as there is that blue Mustang full of fuel just ahead of the number 4. But out ahead, Tandy is praying for a yellow flag and continuing to save fuel. But just behind this Porsche are the 14 Lexus and the number 3 Corvette, which are ready to pounce should anything happen with that number 77 car, as the 23 Heart of Racing Aston Martin squeezes past the number 3 Corvette through turn 6. Sims's exit is severely compromised, as we can hear and now see that number 1 BMW alongside the 3 Corvette as they come up over the crest. The Corvette has the less preferred outside line as Di Filippi moves up into 3rd place ahead of this number 3 car. Down the hill they go, and through a rainy curve, the BMW holds a tight line as the Corvette is a bit faster through the corner. A dab of brakes to this fast right hand of the BMW, a few feet wide of the apex as the Corvette carries huge speed into the final corner. He looks up the inside and makes a bold move as they go side by side onto the front straight. The Corvette driver leaving just enough space for the BMW on the exit as they power 2x2 under the Mission Bridge and over the turn 1 crest. The BMW has the legs on the straight, but the Corvette has the preferred line into turn 2. They go 2x2 through this double apex left-hander as the BMW with the less preferred line falls in line behind the number 3 Corvette, who defends through the right-hand turn 3 as they go side by side once again. The BMW given just enough room on the exit, but the Corvette is now fully ahead and has successfully fended off that BMW for 3rd place. Now, Sims can once again focus forward on this 14 Vassar-Sullivan Lexus, which always seems to struggle with tire wear as the stint comes to an end. And sure enough, the Lexus is just not able to put the power down coming out of the final corner, and the Corvette has a huge run, but nowhere to go as Barnicoat defends the inside line. The Corvette driver, though, pokes his nose up the inside. They make contact through the first apex of turn 2, the Andretti hairpin, and the Corvette squeezes the Lexus on the exit through the gravel as he claims 2nd place just ahead of the number 14 car, with the 1 trying to chase them both down. And if we look ahead through turn 4, we can still see that 77 Sketchy Porsche just ahead, with Tandy now praying for a yellow flag and trying to save as much fuel as possible. But at this point, with just 7 minutes remaining, it seems quite unlikely that that yellow flag will come. So as they make their way through turn 6 and up the hill, these 2 leading cars will have to make their way into pit lane. Now, because they have been saving so much fuel this entire stint, they've been going much slower than the 65 and the number 4, which made that early pit stop, and have been driving flat out ever since. So as he clips the apex of Rainy Curve, Tandy does not have a pit stop buffer over the number 65 Mustang. And through the exit, he barely has a lead over the 3 Corvette, as well as Sims continues to close in on the 77 Porsche as they go through that tight left-hander with the 3 Corvette tucked in just behind. Looking up at that clock, though, how painful must it be to be just 7 minutes away from a victory and needing to refuel? But as they pull into the pit boxes in tandem for this short fill of fuel, let's look out on track and see the 65 and the 4 flash past, now claiming 1st and 2nd place in the race. The Porsche driver is away 1st and continues in 3rd place, just ahead of this 3 Corvette. And on the pit lane exit, Tandy is going to do everything possible to stay ahead of that number 3 car as he slams on the brakes. It's a little too late, though. He runs a little wide. Luckily enough for him, they have paved this section of the course in the previous few years, so no concerns for Tandy getting stuck in the gravel. And with 0 minutes remaining on the clock, the 65 Mustang continues in the lead, with the number 4 Corvette chasing just behind. How ironic is it? After watching the first part of this video, you would have thought that the 4 Corvette and the 65 Mustang were completely out of the race. But with the clock now reading 0, it is a battle between the 2 of them for the race victory. Vervish using absolutely every inch of the road as he tries to hang on to victory in his number 65. Now, if you're familiar with this Mustang, you know they received a whole host of upgrades through the off-season, but despite this, they have really struggled to find performance in their package. But it looks like finally at Laguna Seca, they have had a breakthrough as Vervish continues to push that 65 car to its absolute limits. It is not over yet as the 4 Corvette is still close as Vervish slams on the brakes, makes his way through the apex, and puts the power down on the exit. They will claim maiden victory for this EVO package in IMSA. A fantastic and somewhat unexpected victory for the Ford crew. And just behind, heartbreak for the 77 crew, who was fortunately able to do just enough to hang on to that podium. but not, however, to the victory. A fantastic race nonetheless, though, and Tandy can rejoin his natural habitat up on the podium. And hats off to that Ford crew for not giving up and pulling off that gutsy strategy. You can never count yourself out, and that's why I absolutely love IMSA racing. Anyways, if you guys made it this far, thank you so much for watching and so much for supporting. I really appreciate it. And I was actually at this race in person. It was a fantastic experience, and I met some incredible people. So if I did see you at the race, it was fantastic meeting you. And if I didn't, I am sure that I will see you next time. Anyways, I want to give a special shout out to my channel members. Thank you all so much for the love and support. I really appreciate it. It means so much to me, and I cannot wait to see you guys in the next video.